Having something in your butt is a different experience. Nothing's going in there. It can't feel good. It's not gonna fit. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be uncomfortable. But all of those things don't have to be true. When it comes to anal numbing cream, I'm gonna say this to Cameron. I'm not an advocate.
Don't just go ramming it in there, people.
If you're a man and you like it stimulated by a woman, that doesn't make you gay. If you're sleeping with somebody that is gonna make you feel bad about something that you don't have control over, you should probably be sleeping with somebody else.
I know some people who have had anal sex and now they're like anal sex galore. They're like, I don't want anything else.
Right.
Like, no front hole sex, I'm cool.
No front shots.
No fellatio, I'm cool. Just give me the backstage pass. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Keep On Loving the podcast. I'm your favorite host, the Rose, the one and only Mystique, and I'm so excited to bring my sex ed bestie, Miss Dakota, to our now couch. Shout out to Galay for having us here today. Dakota, introduce yourself today.
My name's Dakota. I'm a relationship coach and sexuality educator. And my goal in my work is really to help people manage relationship anxiety, set boundaries that feel good and actually work, and enhance intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And today, our episode is all about the backstage pass, everything about sex and pleasure for anal sex. So why not bring the anal sex queen here with us?
Is that self-appointed? I'm working on it.
All right, so let's get into it. Anal sex. So people are, really uncomfortable. Even when I was telling people like in the division, they were asking me like, oh, Mystique, like what's the podcast about today? I'm like, anal sex. And they were like, what? No, what do you mean? Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's Anal Sex Awareness Month. It's August. We are here. We're talking about all the things around pleasure, safety. And then I just feel like if you don't get a little uncomfortable, then you just can't grow. And you might actually like it. So
I agree.
What are your thoughts on anal sex in general?
Overall, I think great. I think there's a big emotional component for me personally. I don't think it's like that for everybody, and I don't think it has to be. But like, having something in your butt is a different experience, right? Like we have multiple orifices and holes that we can be really creative with. But I think a large misconception too is that like it's supposed to be uncomfortable. Similarly to like how society views losing your virginity. That whole concept is a conversation for another day. But this idea that like, something's in your butt, so like there's gonna be a level of discomfort. But the truth is, I think if you're truly relaxed, you're prepared, you feel safe in your body, the body opens up in miraculous ways. Truthfully.
Says I'm open. Sorry. Anyway, listen. He loves me, so if I make some holier than all out statements, it's because he knows what I'm about. It's okay.
Of course, that's your core. Our Father.
Yes. All right. And so you kind of touched on it a little bit. And so if people are nervous or uninformed about anal sex, how would you kind of combat those myths and misconceptions that they have in reference to doing the do in the do?
Yeah, I think information is really important, right? Like our role is to inform people so they can make informed decisions around their sexual health, their choices, their pleasure. So I think information is one. When people talk about, especially like male-bodied people, when we talk about butt stuff, for people that have prostates, which is becoming, as somebody that's worked in an adult toy shop, a lot more people are exploring the prostate, getting in tune with the prostate, but that's because we have like this peak in sex education online as well. But I think kind of starting from their pre-existing notions around it. What are your thoughts? What do you feel about it? What have you heard? What do you think? And then start from there, because most people have the idea that like, first of all, nothing's going in there. It can't feel good. It's not going to fit. It's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. But all of those things don't have to be true.
Yeah.
And I think with the proper education, there's no such thing as too much lube. I am an advocate for anal relaxers. When it comes to anal numbing cream, I'm going to say this to Cameron. I'm not an advocate. People still use them. They still buy them. By all means, that's your body. I'm not ever going to tell you what to do. But I always say, if you can't feel what's going on, you can identify something's wrong.
Yep.
So using an anal relaxer in combination with a lot of lube, deep breathing, finding the position that works for you, that might be the way. So you want to look for something that has clove. Any lube or anal relaxer that has clove, for some reason, it does the job. For a lot of people that I've worked with at the adult toy shop too. So you want to look for that ingredient. And then I also think about, I talked about the emotional component, you know, like being relaxed. Like there's a multitude of things that people do to prepare for that. Whether it's taking a shower before, making sure they're not eating anything spicy, something heavy. But I think when it comes to anal too, like a lot of people get worried about that. You know, like, am I gonna get poop on somebody? But if you going in, you know what can come out. And if you're sleeping with somebody,
it's gonna get a bit messy.
Yeah, and it could. If you're sleeping with somebody that is gonna make you feel bad about something that you don't have control over because they're trying to party in other types of places, you should probably be sleeping with somebody else.
Touche. So, yes, you mentioned a bunch of things in there. So we're going to circle back to this lube thing because, you know me, I love to talk all things lube and all about the brands. But more specifically, let's think about how can someone reduce the risk of injury, also in thinking about just knowing about their anal health. So you talked about the numbers, and people don't realize that their anal sphincter is like where all the nerve endings are. So I like to say that that is like the clit of the anus, right? And so, of course, on first impact, don't just go ramming it in there, people. You know, you have to be nice and slow, nice and easy, like it's Usher, you know, all the things. But I also think that something that is interesting that people need to be able to identify, like what points work for them, like what's pleasurable and what is like, ooh, that's painful. But if you have these, you know, numbers, then how do you know? You can't, because it's numb. It's kind of like when they, you know, do your little teeth extraction and they numb your mouth.
You can't feel what's going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of injury and or talking about that and navigating through that situation, what does that look like?
I think, like you said, starting slow. And by that, I don't mean even like starting with putting something in your butt. Like sometimes just like eating the booty like groceries can give you an idea of like relaxing that part of the body, and you can get very creative. And then some people do prefer to like use a finger or a thumb, pointer finger, etc. Make sure the nails are cut, make sure they're trimmed, make sure they're clean. And then you can kind of gauge from there. I've also met people who, they don't want the finger. It doesn't feel good for them. Easing into whatever it is that they're putting into their butt, whether it's a dildo or a penis, etc., that feels better for them. Yeah. But I've had plenty of people come to me and they're like, we want to try anal. I want an anal kit, anal training kit. So you get something at the adult toy shop that, let's say, has like 3 different sizes of butt plugs. Because I always have people that come in and they're like, give me the smallest thing you have. And then they're like, okay, wait, they come back. Like, okay, wait, I can take a little more. So I typically recommend a kit as well if you want to play around with toys of some sort. That can feel really nice. Anal beads are also a really good place to start. But
I love a good anal bead. A little vibration, you know. Set the stage. You can pull it in, pull it out. Not too much, you know, all the things.
Absolutely. And some of them have weight, too, so that can have a really nice sensation. I typically recommend, like, a metal plug, even if it's small, because the weight ensures that it's going to stay in there. You're training what needs to be trained.
It's also a muscle, too, if you think about it. So just like people with vulvas, they use their Kegel muscles, you know, same thing with your anal muscle. I don't know what the actual term is for that. I'm going to have to figure that one out.
Yeah, it might just be training, but I think just experimenting, you know, and make sure you're doing it for the quote-unquote right reasons. Like when people come in, they're like, my partner wants to try it, but I don't really want to. I'm like, well, your body might be rejecting the sensation because this is not something you're giving an enthusiastic yes to. You're doing it because you want to make your partner happy, which is not inherently a bad thing. But if that's the sole reason why, it could be more difficult because you're not completely relaxed into the experience.
All right, so let's talk about the culture for a hot second. So oftentimes we have songs like Eat the Booty Like Groceries and other different fads, if you will, that talk about anal sex like in innuendos. And so as you mentioned before, like most people are like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, or oh, I don't want to do that. I know when I go and teach the young people, they are like, and I ask them, what are some things that are off limits? And they're like, talking about anal sex. Don't tell me nothing about the butt. I don't want to know. And I'm like, but I got to tell you where the prostate is in anatomy.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to talk about the butt just a little bit, because that's how you get to it. But science. Yeah, they're not with it at all. But what I do think is interesting is that when we are talking about sex and our bodies and all of those things, that people just don't want to indulge in the booty, but yet in everything there's always like some type of innuendo that's going towards it anyway. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's fine to know that something is not for you, but I think approaching things with an open mind, and it's also okay if you know that there's something you definitely don't want to try. Also ask yourself why. Like, is it just something you're not interested in? Or is it because you have fears or you have negative beliefs around it? Now, if you have fears or negative beliefs around it, I encourage you to reflect on that. As someone that's like partaken in anal activities, right? I've had good experiences and I've had really bad experiences. The bad experiences have not turned me off to the possibility of doing it in the future, but it might for somebody, and that's okay. But I think in any situation, when you hold an opinion or a belief, you need to ask yourself why and where it's coming from, to really reflect on the core of that issue. And if it's something you want to explore, you just want to leave it there.
Yeah. I think most people that I've talked to, they've had fears about like getting hemorrhoids, or if they already have had hemorrhoids, they're like, oh my gosh, it's just going to make it worse, or whatever the case may be. And so, or like, I don't want to set off something that I already know has been very painful.
There's an inherent risk when it comes to sexual activity. Like, that's why we come up with words like safer sex, safe sex, right? Like, there's an inherent risk in anything. I mean, you could get hemorrhoids and not have anal. Like, you don't have to do it.
Sitting on the couch, minding your business.
If you sit on your butt too long, like, that's a very real possibility. Do you go for walks every single day because you got hemorrhoids one time because you have an office job? Probably not. Maybe. So I would really encourage people to find a system that works for them. If they're like, I really want to try anal, I'm really excited, but I have a history of hemorrhoids. One, talk to a trusted doctor. We're going to loop back to the lube conversation, and take your time. Like, there really is no rush. I think with anal too, there's a sense of performance. Like, you want to like get it in and do a good job and take it and all of that. And that can put a lot of pressure on the body, which can also contribute to things like hemorrhoids, irritation, pain. Like, we don't want none of that, but there's a risk.
And with that risk, we come to what we do every day, or what I do every day at DHH, which is around HIV health. And so what we know is that research says that majority of people who identify as men who have sex with men who are practicing anal sex are at a higher risk of contracting and or transmitting HIV virus. And so what is so interesting about that is now it has become this like ideology that like, oh, if you have anal sex, then automatically you are either considered gay or or you're, you know, a homo, whatever, you know, terminology that they want to use. Most of it is very derogatory, so we won't go into that.
Right.
And I think that, again, that's a huge misconception, but also thinking about other ways that HIV is transmitted. And so how can we as sex educators and coaches do a better job at educating people in their reference to doing it in the butt?
Don't make it such a scary thing. Like, I think of the Mean Girls movie so much when I think about what sex education like can really look like the fear mongering of like, don't have sex because you're gonna get pregnant and die. Don't do anal because these are the possibilities. But I think giving them as much information as possible in digestible chunks, right? Like, we're not info dumping on people. We need to give them time to process and make connections themselves. That can lend to the idea that information and knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Truthfully. But us as educators, you really got to look at your community too. Like, who are the people that you're serving? You know, when I would work at one school, it was a very different conversation than working at another school. They have different fears, they have different concerns, they have different ideas. I went to one school and like the idea of being gay if you do prostate play didn't come up. Went to another school and that's all we talked about. You know, we had to unpack, okay, before we even get into the science behind transmission of STIs, we need to unpack the fact that you have a prostate in your anus, and if you like it, if you're a man and you like it stimulated by a woman, that doesn't make you gay. That's like one really big hurdle as a society.
Listen.
I think we're getting over slowly, but we have a lot of work to do. So I think as educators, you need to know who you're speaking to, the community you're speaking to, and then you move from there. We may not be ready to talk about transmission. We may not be ready to talk about the rates. We might have to start at the core of the issue. Then we can get into the science behind it.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I know some people who have had anal sex and now they're like anal sex galore. They're like, I don't want anything else.
Right.
Like, no front hole sex, I'm cool.
No front shots.
No fellatio, I'm cool. Just give me the backstage pass. Like, I'm
but it's
okay
good,
with
it's
that.
great. It's like salad.
Listen. Now, I don't know what's going to come out of that after you eat that salad, but I'm just saying. Hey, if you're enjoying this episode and you are a Philadelphia resident and you need resources about your sexual and reproductive health, visit www.phillykeeponloving.com. I wonder, in thinking about, you know, from a clinical aspect, you know, we are not doctors, but how would you encourage your clients or your students to just talk to their doctor if they are like, hey, I'm interested in doing this thing? Maybe it's around hygiene. Like, maybe they're not ready to necessarily partake in the full conversation, but I do want to know how to properly, like, be prepared. Exactly.
That is a difficult question for me to it's not difficult for me to answer, but I think the answer itself is challenging, because if I tell you to go to the doctor too, like, we need to ensure that you're going to a doctor that you trust. And you may not always have control over that, or you may have medical trauma where you've gone to a bunch of doctors and you haven't had good experiences. So if my first step is going to tell you find a doctor that you trust, that can be really overwhelming and anxiety inducing for someone to even do in the first place. Because I know a lot of us have had at least one negative experience with a doctor that may not even be related to sexual activity.
I'm like, I'm not going back. I don't like it. The waiting room stinks. I'm not coming back.
So I think empowering people to ask their doctors questions, you know, feel comfortable advocating for yourself. Bring a friend, you know, that can be there with you, that you feel comfortable talking about these things in front of them or to them as an advocate for you as well, because you can also freeze in the moment. So I think before I used to tell people, find a doctor that you trust. And now I'm like, practice advocating for yourself and feeling comfortable asking someone that society sees as an authority figure questions. Because at the end of the day, they're there for you and your body.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a great answer. All right. So, you know, it's getting a little slippery in here. So let's talk about lube. What types of lube? So, you know, I tell people all the time, like, if you're going to, you know, do anal sex, it's nice if it's wet, but at some point in time, I just get frustrated with keep reapplying it over and over again because it's so wet, which is typically because it's a water-based lube.
Right.
So let's talk about, one, the different types of lube that you have, and then two, what are your favorites and what are your, like, go-tos for a little bit of backstage action?
So we got the classic water-based, which is what it sounds like. Then you have hybrids that are majority water, a little bit of silicone. Then you have silicone. Then you have oil-based. I also think, like, is that a thing? Because I feel like a lot in our community, people, like, don't use coconut oil, like, based on science. But I know a lot of people use it and, like, don't have issues.
So I think that it is dependent upon, like, your skin, and then, like, the oil that's in it, because it is a natural oil, but there's something that is in it. It's like an additive or something that they use that ends up, can, like, you know, happen in there. Like, it could irritate you in some way, shape, or form. So I think that again, it depends. I am a person that's like, I'm not using nobody's coconut oil. It's just not happening for me.
No, I got my own stash. You got like 3 separate jars. One for the body, one for the butt.
Yeah, I'm like,
one for the food.
if that's the case, I would just say if you're going to use an oil-based one, then go and get like a boy butter or something like that.
Boy butter is very
I
good.
like boy butter. Yeah. It's nice.
Silicone is really good for anal because it is so slippery and slick, but it is really hard to clean in my opinion.
I feel that way about the oil ones too.
Yeah, the only water-based lube I would use for anal is Mojo's anal water-based lube. Like, it's meant for anal. So it's a little bit thicker. It has the clove in it already. So you don't have to, like, get an anal relaxer. That additive is already in there. Never had any irritation. Anybody that I've recommended it to at the shop comes back and is like, I'll buy 2 more. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So I would definitely, like, if you want something that's water-based, a little bit on the cleaner side with some natural ingredients, Mojo's anal water-based lubricant with clove is really good.
Yeah.
But people also love, like, a classic, like, Swiss Navy. Uber Lube.
I love Uber Lube. I'm an Uber Lube girl.
Oh my gosh, I got that on my floor one time, and I have 2 cats, so they were like slip and sliding in the crib. I was like, this is a problem. Ever since then, I'm like, I can't, because also I have sensory issues, so sometimes like that might be something that people want to think about, like what kinds of sensations do they not like the slickness where I can't get it off my hand once the deed is done. That sticks with me enough to not lean toward it, but. You know, if it's person-to-person anal, a lot of people use silicone. If it's a metal glass toy for anal, silicone. There's a lot of debate around, can you use silicone lube on a silicone toy? A lot of people will be like, absolutely not. And then other people will tell you it depends on the quality of the lube and the toy.
Yeah, I can see that. I would argue a little bit of both, but I would definitely say... For me, I would more or less be leaning towards a hybrid silicone on a silicone toy. Me personally, I'm not trying to see no tacky. If I start seeing a little bit of tackiness on my toy or even like in my hands after just a brief moment, I already know that the silicone is eating at the silicone, and I don't want no parts of that. And so for me, I'm just like, all right, it's also if it's porous too. So if it's one of those toys that it is not a newer toy, not a newer grade silicone, but like, you know, the old school. So like early 2000s. I'm not even going to push back to the 90s. I'm going to say early 2000s, like those types of toys. Then yes, you have to be, you know, careful. And then also, where are you buying your toys from? Are you buying your toys off of Amazon? No shade. However,
just be careful, please.
Just be very careful, right?
If you can go to a small business or a proper store, do that. If you can't, we understand. You know, just
make sure you check in the packaging, make sure that, you know, you're looking at the materials that are being put there. All of those things are important because it's going in your body or on your body at some point in time. So you just want to be very cognizant of that. So I think that's super important. Yeah, I mean, what other, I'm trying to think. I really like Sliquid. I'm a Sliquid
I
slut.
love Sliquid.
I love Sliquid.
Sliquid, the organic ones are really good. The sassy one is really good. Yes,
I'm a satin girl.
Yeah, like
Sliquid satin
that's
is my
also
thing.
a really good brand. I also, you know what? I'm an advocate of these in terms of like the relaxing. Foria has CBD suppositories for anal. Now my nails are too long. So the last time I tried to like impromptu, like I'm gonna surprise them with anal, like it melted in my fingers because I couldn't because the nails are too long. So beware of that. If you got claws like this, be mindful. But those, it just relaxes the muscles and it feels warm and tingly and just like super yummy. So Foria also has really good products. If you're somebody that's interested in using CBD in any part of that area, just pop that bad boy in, let it melt, get to town. And it also kind of creates like the pre-lubrication because, you know, like, that doesn't really like lubricate itself. So in combination with that and some lube, that's like a killer duo.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. So now that we talked about the lube, now we got to talk about the toys. And I wish that we had the opportunity to bring some of our toys, but you know.
I haven't used my minor storage.
Listen. Sometimes we can't get access to all the things, but what we will do is we will provide a list to you of different places that you can go to purchase toys, but also some of our top 5 booty plugs, if you will. So, do you have one that is like your favorite? Like, do you have a brand that's your favorite or something like that?
I think the brand, it's like the Icicles line.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pink, it's curved.
Okay.
It's glass,
yes.
Icicles, and it's like kind of bulbous on one side, like round, and then the other side's a little bit smaller. That is like perfect. It's also multi-purpose because you could use it vaginally, you know, anally, etc. But I prefer glass toys for any kind of internal play. There's maybe only one silicone toy that I'm like, that will go in there. But for the most part, I'm one of those people that's like, I don't want the finger, just give me the thing. Like the finger is just like, I mean, when it's good, it's great.
I get it.
It's good, it's great. But that particular toy, it's curved too. So like I have carpal tunnel, so I can't be rolling this wrist around. Like it kind of takes care of the angle for you as well. And the material's just slick. A lot of people get concerned, but because it's glass, it's like super hard. But
it's smooth. It's smooth blown.
I haven't had a problem.
Absolutely. I have icicles too. Of course, it's a rose.
Yeah.
And so the top part,
I know which one you're talking about.
part is rose, and then it has like the spiral in the middle, and then it has the bulb at the end. So now I have to go find it because I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm sure it's somewhere in the treasure chest. I have another one too. I don't know that it's icicles, but it's kind of like anal beads. So it has a rainbow of beads, has a nice like maybe 45-degree curve to it. Super cool. I keep it in the freezer because I actually use it on my shoulders or anytime. Yes. Because sometimes you just need that. But that's also why I like icicles and or any type of glass too, because you can do, temperature play. So see, we connected, y'all. Y'all don't even know. The other one I love is B-Vibe. So B-Vibe is great. Is very interesting because they actually have the full anal training kit as you talk about. It comes with everything that you could think about. They even have the shooter so that you can, do your douching if you are like if you're prepared, like that today when I get off work or whenever I'm going to go and have some anal sex, like it has everything in there so that you can, feel fresh and you can feel clean and all of that stuff. But they also have this line of like, I believe, is it letters or no, it's sizes. Yes. So they have like 1 through 5. And so when I was working in the sex store, I bought 1 through 5.
That's amazing.
Now the first 3, I was like, this is, but 4 and 5. Now 5 is a little bit bigger than this mic. Yeah, so and it's actually orange. So I'm starting to think that orange is my color, even though yellow is really my color. But orange, I'll take it. But yeah, so it was like their limited edition, and it's a little bit bigger. So it's probably like this, but it has a triangular front, like. And then the base. It's not like rounded, right? The triangle. I've noticed that that's a lot easier for people, just because sometimes when they're rounded, the stretch and then the tighten, the grip is like there's too much of a contrast versus the cone shaped ones. Yeah, it's easier to like ease into that tapered neck of the toy. Yep. So those are my 2. Definitely icicles, then B-Vibe. I mean, I also was the one, I started with metal. Like, I was like, don't give me no silicone. I'm going straight in, and I want rosebud, which is interesting. So, fun fact, when we first met and I first started with like my membership and all that and trying to figure out what I want to call people, I used to get like all of these comments under Instagram and stuff because people were like, you can't call them rosebuds because you're calling them sex toys and they're not butt plugs and all this. I'm like, sure. You could absolutely call it that. I'm just calling them rosebuds because I really enjoy roses and like I have a whole thing behind it, but I also know that rosebuds is like a toy line as well. Yeah. And so that was actually one of the first toys I got because I just thought that it had to be interesting that I got a rosebud. It was okay. It was a metal one. I have some like metal plugs that I would like to be one of those people where like you like pull up on a date and you already got one in, like just chilling. Maybe I'll try. I might try to, but first I got to get the date. But that's a different story for a different day. Anyway, the point of the matter is take yourself on a date, pull up a plug and call it a day. Listen, and that's even a thing too, and we could talk about that. I think when people think about anal sex, they automatically think, oh, person to person or whatever case may be. But you can have a great time with a little masturbation, a little self-play, by yourself. Absolutely. Go ahead and try it out. And it also will probably release some of that tension that you may have just around, in general, anal sex. If you're not comfortable with your own booty, how you think your partner or whoever you're dealing with is going to be comfortable with it? Absolutely. Yeah, I do think a lot of times we think of it in terms of a partnered activity, and we don't have to. Like, anytime I've used the toy that I was telling you about before, maybe 4 out of 5 times, like, it's just me. And it's just one of those things where, like, if you're in the mood, then, like,
it's feeling good, it's feeling right, you're in the moment, you're tapped in, you're in tune with your body, like by all means go ahead and explore, but
hey,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Control. Anyway, no, I think that, well, this has been great. How do you feel?
I feel great. I
feel
love
like
this topic. This is something I actually want to like put into practice more.
Okay.
Because we also talked a lot about putting things in people's butts, but like what about just like eating it? Like even that has a lot of like ideas about it. So this has got me thinking about what I can do as a person to like improve that activity in my festivities, and also as an educator, like what does it look like to kind of prep people for that type of play?
I mean, but I think that there's a whole slew of things that we didn't cover. Like we didn't talk about impact play before, some booty play. We didn't talk about prostate play a lot, so maybe we can tune in for a next episode on prostate play. I'm gonna have to get somebody with the prostate because, you know, I really need to know what's going on.
Double back.
Because I have some questions. Oh, you can come back.
No, I'm jealous that I don't have a prostate.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, hey.
Must be nice.
Yeah, and I also think too, there's things that wax play and some anal play is different.
I can see that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about when we think about sensations,
yes,
but just all the sensations, and then like thinking about, I don't know about you, but I've seen some hairy booties in my lifespan, right? And so when I think about that, I think about the level of sensitivity that certain people have, and just how the booty is really an erogenous zone. And so
sorry, I'm laughing at you. I heard you, and then I like really listened, and I was like, wait, that's funny.
I'm just saying, you know, in this line of work, you never know what you're going to see.
That's also natural though. Like shaving back there is hard.
Yeah, waxing, so, like, all of that.
You know.
Good luck. I'm not doing it. Don't ask me.
You just gotta like lift the leg a little bit, get the angle, hold the cheek to the side. It is like
for
gymnastics.
Little booties that matter, that works. For people who do not have little booties, what
a good problem to have. Cheers.
I plead the fifth, and I'll say that. All right. Well, thank you, Dakota. This has been amazing. You always bring the energy and always some good stuff. So I appreciate you. And remember, no matter how you're loving, just keep on loving.